Sometimes finding a gift for a parent can be tough. After a while, they tend to have everything they need. And if your parents are like mine, who can never seem to get technology at even a basic level, that excludes giving them any kind of technology gift. Or does it? Trying to give them technology to make their life easier, but not putting them through the technicalities of it, can be a challenge. Today I'm going to show you how I overcame such a challenge, so stay tuned. Recently I had such a challenge. I wanted to give my mom, who's about 3,600 miles away, a photo frame that would cycle through family photos. Something she could look at every once in a while and get a smile or chuckle out of. My first thought was, of course, repurposed smartphone project. So I got started. Because my mom is so technology challenged, this wasn't going to be as simple as putting an app and photos on a smartphone and sending it off to her. I had to use technology even more than usual, but disguise it in tradition. The requirements I came up with are simplicity for sure. I wanted my mom to be able to just power on the photo frame and that's it. With that in mind, that means the phone would have to boot up, then start the app that would display the photos. Updatable album, but by me, not my mom. The frame will be 3,600 miles away, but I want to provide new photos as they become available, so the photo frame app and myself need access to the same photo repository. I'm thinking of having an album with about 40 photos and replacing old photos with newer ones every month or so. I did some research on this and was really happy with what I found. First, let me give you a list of items needed, then I'll walk you through each item in more detail. Google account. The app I found can make use of other services, but I'll show you how to set up Google. The setup for other services should be similar. Smartphone. A cheap tablet would probably be better, but I didn't have a spare one of those at this time. The app, which basically saved the day for me, is Photo Cloud Slideshow. Two features critical to this project are Auto Start from boot up and Cloud Service Access. You'll see how these work later. Supplies, to dress up the phone and to hide the technology. Wi-Fi at the location where the photo frame will reside. You'd either have to set up the connection before sending the phone or have someone on site set it up. Do not use a mobile plan. A lot of traffic is generated as photos are loaded via the internet. The first thing I'm going to do is create the Google account because I need it when I configure the phone. For security's sake, it's a good idea not to use your personal account for this. If somehow the phone ends up in other hands, they'll only have access to an unlocked phone having an account with a small number of photos. For those who have never done this before, the process is pretty simple and painless. First, Google the phrase "Create Google." Most of the results that appear should take you to what you need. Follow the prompts, accepting as few special features as possible. The only feature you'll use from your created account is Google Drive. This step is going to be very involved. Again, because my mom is so technology challenged and this is supposed to be just a slideshow picture frame, I don't want any notifications appearing on screen. As much as possible, I'll also hide access to on-screen controls like App Switcher, Home button, and Back button. Here's a list of things I activated or restricted. I can't give detailed instructions here because specific instructions for each change may be slightly different between devices. Google search your device model and the change below to get details specific to your situation. Factory erase the phone, then set it up with the new Google account you just created. Turn off Bluetooth. No screen lock. There shouldn't be any sensitive data to secure. This is where a separate account works best. Remove all icons and widgets from the home screen and all of its overflow screens to the left and right. Before you do the next step, install PhotoCloud Slideshow. If the install puts the icon on the home screen, remove it from the home screen. Remove as many icons as possible from the app drawer. If possible, leave only the Play Store, PhotoCloud Slideshow, and Slideshow apps in the app drawer. You can either uninstall or disable apps. Some phones let you hide also, but do this only if you can't uninstall or disable. Turn off notifications for all apps except for PhotoCloud Slideshow. Hide all lock screen notifications, even though the lock screen should be disabled. Hide all icon badges. Turn off Auto Update in Play Store. This is especially important if PhotoCloud Slideshow is working just right and you don't want an update to change that. Okay, now start PhotoCloud Slideshow and change these settings. At the main screen, tap the gallery stream, tap the three dots and select Delete. Tap the plus button at the bottom, then select Google Drive. Select the Google account you created earlier, then OK. Tap the gear at the top right. Here, I changed settings in Slideshow and PhotoCache to my own preferences. The settings here seemed like they would give me the most control over the experience I wanted my mom to have while viewing photos. The settings I changed are as follows. Slideshow, check Wi-Fi connected, off. Slideshow, show EXIF in Daydream, off. Slideshow, auto start slideshow on boot, on. Slideshow, random order, off. Slideshow, auto start stream list, check. PhotoCache, cache size 100 megabytes. PhotoCache, thumbnail cache size 10 megabytes. PhotoCache, short-lived cache, on. Now I need to add some photos to Google Drive. Whatever photos I add to Drive will appear in the slideshow. As photos are deleted from Drive, they'll no longer appear in the slideshow. Also, if you're wondering why I didn't put my photos in Google Photos, PhotoCloud Slideshow doesn't support Google Photos, but that should be fine. PhotoCloud Slideshow uses these services for photo storage, not photo features. As far as decorating and trying to hide the technology, I went with a traditional looking picture frame and modified it a bit. First of all, I cut a hole in the backer board so the power switch is accessible. The LG Rebel 4 has an interesting location for a power switch, but it does work well for this purpose. There's also a cutout at the edge to accommodate the power cord. And the last thing I did to the backer board was paint it black because a large portion of it will show on the front side. The black color will let it blend into the color of the phone. On the frame, I carved out a portion of the back of it to route the power cord. I started out with a box cutter to get the square looking cut, but later I found the cutout needed to be deeper, so I used a grinding bit to do the rest. Anyway, so with all the pieces ready to put together, I'm going to start gluing things up. It'll actually be a couple days because the glue takes 24 hours to dry and there's 2 phases of glue up I have to do. So I'll be back in a couple days. As mentioned earlier, Wi-Fi is the only way this photo frame should be set up. Photos are updated constantly and using a mobile data plan could get expensive. If you have the Wi-Fi settings, be sure to set it up before you send the photo frame off. If not, be sure to include instructions specific to the phone you're using. One last thing, I added a background to the home screen to hide that last bit of text that I couldn't get rid of. If you look closely, you can see some of the controls on the left and right sides of the screen. Next are highlights from the glue up of the photo frame. The glue up is simple. A few dabs of glue will hold the phone in place. At this stage, the phone has been drying for a couple of hours, so it's sort of stable but could still fall off. Rather than wait for it to dry, I decided to glue up the rest of the parts so everything would be dry by morning. Adding weight to press the glued parts together, I left it like this to dry overnight. I feel this project turned out a lot better than I expected. Cost was about $46, which was the $40 phone from my cheap smartphone video, plus $6 for the frame. For something I feel will give my mom endless hours of happiness, it's definitely worth it. On a side note, this video came up unexpectedly, and I am working on one I feel will be of interest to lots of viewers who liked my hoverboard video. Stay tuned for that one.